Hey guys, welcome to MinTac. This is Chris. I'm glad you joined me today. Today I'm going to go through the completion of the 22 Nosler build, which includes the laying down of the Kryptek Mandolorian paint job. Colors I chose were classic bronze and combat black. Now in the video that you're going to see here, I also mentioned that I'm going to spray it, maybe dust it with some gray. I decided not to do that just because I did like the overall look of the black and classic bronze, and so I didn't really want to drown those colors out. It's a fantastic looking color combination, as you'll see. But in this segment of this video, I'm going to show you how to build your own paint booth. If you don't have one at home, just cheap and on the fly. And if you have good weather, this is a good way to do it. It's very ventilated out in the great outdoors, and so I'm going to go through that process. Just a couple of simple little things. All you're going to need is cardboard box, some 2x4s, and sawhorses. So pretty easy to build a paint box, paint booth, whatever you want to call it. And then I'm going to go through. I didn't focus so much on the technique of spraying on this video. I did, however, do that on my AR9 build, so if you need to, I'll try to link that down in the body of this video so that you can see that if you have not seen it yet, or you can search my channel. So I don't go over the extensive ways to lay down your paint, but I do go through just some quick laying down, or just some quick techniques of laying down your base coats and stuff like that. I did, however, focus quite a bit on the stencils, because for the stencils, that can be quite a kind of an intimidating thing if you've never done it before. So I show you some helpful hints on laying down the weeded portions of the stencils, as well as placing your male and female pieces within the project. And so I focused a little bit more on that. The stencils can stick to each other, and you can get frustrated, and you're just like, screw this, I'm going to throw it in the garbage. So I'm going to try to help you guys avoid that by going through extensively how to take off the stencils and put them on your project. So that, as well as at the end of the video, I'm going to show you the finished project, which is looking absolutely fantastic with that classic bronze and combat black. And I'm going to go through some helpful hints as far as turning out a quality project. I'm going to admit I'm kind of impatient. I want to see the finished product as soon as possible, and so I cut one corner that maybe I shouldn't have, and I'll explain that in the video segment at the end, and so you have a better idea. They turned out fantastic. They look beautiful. That's right. I had enough stencils to do not only the 22 Nosler, but my 223 Wild comp gun for a 3-gun. It looks awesome. If you followed my videos before, that 223 Wild gun was my long distance gun. Well, I have since transitioned that into more of a 3-gun, because the trigger on that is absolutely phenomenal. And so I want to have something that has a little bit quicker follow-up. The bolt carrier group from Warthog I put into this gun, so it's got a red bolt carrier group along with all the other red accents, and so I'm going to show you what that looks like. It is a sick looking build, and so a big shout out again to Warthog. Thank you very much for holding your contest. I just really appreciate that. I'm in love with the 22 Nosler, but also in love with that bolt carrier group. It really makes that Mandolorian 223 Wild gun just like pop, so it looks really sexy. So hopefully you guys like that. But yeah, the Kryptek Mandolorian, wow. I've already had some requests for folks wanting me to do their guns, and so I don't know, maybe we'll turn this into maybe we'll turn this a little bit into a side job for other folks. I know D80 does that, so if you haven't checked his channel out, 2 channels that I would recommend: Warthog 71 and going to Delta D80. Great stuff, great content. So check their stuff out. He's a big painter. He does a lot of camo jobs, so check him out as well. I'm not going to hold you back any longer. If you like this video after you're done watching, make sure you give it a thumbs up. comments, questions are welcome. I try to get back to everybody as soon as possible. I'm not always notified by YouTube because of whatever reason, because they're a bunch of derps. Just let me know. I do look at my videos once in a while just to see if I've missed anything. But anyway, like this video, thumbs up, leave comments, subscribe if you have not done so, and check this video out. Hey guys, welcome to MinTac. This is Chris. Today I'm going to start painting the Kryptek color on 2 ARs. I'm going to see if I can get the Kryptek stencils to stretch even further. So what I decided to do is take my black AR-15 and I'm going to actually coat that in that same color. I've got a 3-gun competition coming up here. It's more of a friendly type thing. It's not real competition, but anyway. So I decided to paint my black gun, the Kryptek coat, as well as the 22 Nosler. And so what I'm going to do today is an attempt to paint that completely, both of them completely. But what I wanted to first go over is handy ways to develop your own paint booth. I am actually going to paint outside. I do have the back of the garage that is serving as the backdrop. But if you're on a tight budget, there are some simple things that you can do. First of all, I do have you can see that there, I do have a coat hanger which I'll actually hang the AR-15s from in order to paint. It'll be up and down vertical. And then what I did is I took my sawhorses and I laid out about 3 2x4s or scrap lumber 2x4s, and I took a large moving box, and that's going to serve as my backdrop to catch most of my paint. My muzzle will be hanging from like right up here and down, so most of the box will take up any overspray or anything like that. And so what I then did is I took the box, cut it down one of the seams, the long seam, and I actually stapled it into the 2x4. So the 2x4 you can still reuse, I'll just pull the staples later. And so that's going to keep most of that paint spray, overspray within the box area itself. And so I took the 2 of the flaps and I stapled the inside. And then if you come around, I took the outside flaps and stapled them outside, so that provides a little bit of rigidity for this paint box. So I've got a gentle breeze. I'll still probably find my mask to wear that, but otherwise it's all external. I'm not worried about anything in the background because there is you know, stuff that is more than 15-20 feet away, so I'm not worried about that. But everything else, I mean, understand that my sawhorse is probably going to be a little paint on it. Big whoop, I mean, it's got stain on them already. But it's a good way to set up just a mobile, quick-use paint booth to be able to paint Duracoat. So stick with me, we'll get to the painting session here in a minute. Alright, so I think the first color that I'm going to spray is the rustic bronze. Usually what you want to do with this stuff is shake it up for like 3 minutes, make sure that the color is mixed up well. Each of the colors come with a hardener, and the ratio of the hardener to, or I should say that ratio of the Duracoat to the hardener is usually 4 to 1 or 12 to 1. Excuse me, 1 part hardener to 12 parts Duracoat. For example, you would use 4 tablespoons of Duracoat for 1 teaspoon of hardener. You don't want to waste a lot, so I'm going to start off probably with, especially with doing 2 guns, I'll start off with 2 tablespoons of Duracoat with a half a teaspoon of hardener. And then I'll also put in a little reducer in there. This is extra, it costs like, I think around $6 or $7, but it'll ensure that the Duracoat actually sprays through the gun. And if you've seen my previous video, I showed you what I used for a gun. It's cheap. Got it from Harbor Freight for like $10. Let me just get it quick as I'm just continuing to shake. So this is the gun right here, and it looks like that one is not going to be used. Anyway, so this is the gun, and it's really cheap. I bought the air hose separate because it is has some flexibility to it, and so that's what I'll be using. So anyway, continue to shake this up. and mix your hardener with it. I'm going to be using cheap, like I said, got these from, let me put my gun down. I got these from the dollar store for $1, and I'll have everything you need. Tablespoons, teaspoons. I also got, let me see if I have it here. I thought I brought it out with me. Oh yeah. Another thing I got from the dollar store is if you want to mix your paints, like I'm going to mix black and white to get my gray. I'm going to put it right in here and I'll shake it up, and this works really well for mixing paints. Again, dollar store, I think you get like 12 of them or something like that for $1. So cheap stuff, relatively easy to use. So yeah, that's what you need for equipment. I've got my gun hanging over here. I'm not touching it whatsoever. Like I said, I taped and papered the barrel so I can actually grab onto that, and I'll go underneath the stock when I need to move it to a drying position. So I have my painting position over here. I got my drying position hooks over here, and so then I'll take, after it gets done painted that first coat, which is the undercoat, I will use my heat gun again to flash everything off so that it dries a lot quicker, so I can actually adhere my my vinyl stickers from Castle Tactical. If you haven't checked him out yet, he did take himself off from Etsy. I think he was getting more business over at eBay. So check him out at eBay, Castle Tactical LLC. You ever have those days where just everything seems to go wrong? I had a buddy that used to say, when situations like this happen, you're stoned to death with marshmallows, which means you're not going to get killed by somebody stoning you with marshmallows, but it's really freaking irritating. Alright, so my paint, I just noticed that my my cheap Harbor Freight sprayer, the end, it must have, I don't know, it must have been pinched somewhere or something, but it started to crack. And so now we got some super glue on there, and I am gluing this sucker back together so that I can use it. I know, $10, but right now I'm in the middle of like doing this job, and I'm not going to run out to Harbor Freight to get a new one of these. Maybe at some point in the future. But, yeah, what a pain in the rear end. So let's get on to the painting, shall we? Just one other thing, this is not a rant, I'm still having this thing dry, but just another thing quickly that you're going to want to get if you do not have right now, but it's some kind of filter, inline air filter that will trap any moisture that is going through your airline. So make sure you have something like that. It doesn't need to be extremely fancy, but this is my airline. I'll just turn this on. So that's trapping any moisture that goes through my long line into my braided line. And it's kind of nice. This line, which I got at Harbor Freight, is probably 10 feet long, and so it's really, it's got some good length to it, and has worked very well in my past projects. So I can't remember how much it was, maybe $5, $7, but good investment. Otherwise, you get a really cheap plastic one with this, and it kind of sucks. It bends, and you know, you just don't have the extension, the amount of room that you need to paint. So yeah, so just another good investment, inline filter and the extended braided line. So let's get to this job, shall we? Okay, so this thing's a little touchy, and so I'm going to have to use both hands to spray. So here we go. Alright, hopefully you can see the lighting is kind of not so great out here. But I have got some stripes of the the classic bronze, or whatever bronze it's called. So hopefully you'll be able to see that. It's kind of light right now, but we're going to darken those things up. And we're going to move to probably black and then get some gray in there also. Okay guys, so I'm in between colors right now, and so I just want to give you some helpful tips about keeping everything nice and clean, because you only get a certain amount of these vials with that $10 gun, and so you want to use it as long as possible. And they are plastic, so they're not the greatest things in the world, but they work. And so this is what I do. As soon as I'm done using a color, I'll actually use a brush cleaner, and I'll put a little bit of brush cleaner in there, and I'll swish it around, and then I'll hook it back up to my air supply and actually clean the lines out. And so if you can see that, that's how clean the line is. And so that works really well. It keeps that tip from clogging up as well. And so I'm on to my next color, which will be black, and then I'll actually do gray last, because that's more of a transition color. And so, yeah, it's looking really good right now. I can't wait until I can actually apply the stencils. Again, tactical Kryptek stencils is what I'm using, and Castle Tactical is where I got them. So next color is going to be black. If we can get up a little bit closer, this is the 22 Nosler, which is looking absolutely fantastic. I use that word a lot, but you know, when it's good, you got to work it. So let me see if I can. I'm still shaking the black. Let me see if I can get that in there a little bit. Yeah, there you go. So this was the tan that Warthog 71 sprayed, and actually stayed on there really well. And this is, you can see the classic bronze, I think is what it's called. And so we're gonna overspray some of those areas where you see tan. That'll be oversprayed. It'll probably splatter a little bit on the classic bronze as well, and which is totally okay, because after that I'm going to do opposite colors. Once I get the stencils on, I will do opposite colors of what's sprayed on there, and so it should turn out pretty awesome. I can't wait to see it. I will probably, well, you'll see how I pull the stencils off and place them specifically. The last thing that I will do in the painting scheme of this is use black to dust in, so it doesn't look so, what do I want to say, sterile. Okay, so those colors can seem to, if you don't put a little bit of overspray in there, it looks really sterile. And so I just want to make sure that it looks more dirty than anything, because it breaks up those lines even more. So you'll see what I'm talking about when I get to that step. So, alright, let's go on to black. I always have a roll of paper towels on hand. I use those to clean out my spoons in between paint. Also, you want to make sure that you do stir that up. I'm shaking this a little bit, but make sure you stir it up. I use, I think they are actually for sushi, but I'm not sure. But I use that and stir those babies up. And so let's get on to the black. All right, black's working. Here we go. This is what we're sitting at so far. So black and classic bronze mixed. Now I just need to throw on the Kryptek stencils. It's actually looking pretty amazing. Let me see if I can turn this for you. This one is actually still going to have the red highlights, and so it's got a red rail. It's got a red bolt carrier group. It's got red, oh boy, I still have to do that. Oh, it's got a red inserts for QD mounts. and it's got a red buffer tube. One thing I forgot was the charging handle on the Nosler is red, and so I'm going to change the color of that. And so I will probably, when I put the stickers in, the vinyls on, I will insert that so that it gets sprayed for my secondary coat. So this is what it's looking like. It's looking pretty awesome. And it's going to look even more awesome. Let me just scoot around the corner here. That's too much brightness in the background. So yeah, so I just got done heating it up with the heat gun, and so that'll flash it off a little bit better. And probably in the next couple hours, maybe I'll hit it with a heat gun again. In the next couple hours, I will put my vinyls on and then start the process of painting again. So that's what they're looking like. It's looking pretty awesome. Okay, so right now I'm in the process of placing my Kryptek and Mandolorian decals. So you can kind of see I'm placing them in more color dominant areas so that when I overspray, they'll show up really well with that black and with that bronze. So it's simply peeling them off, the male ones. I'm going to keep the female ones as well, because at a later time I may wish to overlay the female stencil over some other area of the gun and spray then. So that's what it's looking like so far. Stay tuned, we'll do the whole Kryptek stencil. Again, Castle Tactical LLC, eBay. Alright guys, it's looking fantastic. Alright, so this is what I've got so far. I have weeded out the stencils for both sides of the handguard, and I'm about to do the upper and lower receiver. But I thought I would just kind of show you, with Kryptek you want to do groups of back stencils. So I took stencils off and filled these holes, but I left many open. I took 3 here, and you can see I kind of grouped them. And then I will hit this area over here with black. I will hit this area with bronze and hit this area with black again, but I'll try to maintain as much of the bronze as possible because I do like that color. And so that's basically it. The hardest thing is with any of these stencils is actually taking, especially with Kryptek, taking the weeded portions out. And I'm going to try to show you how I do it, and it seems to work out very slick. The stencil doesn't stick to itself, and I am able to lay the Kryptek pattern on without any entanglement of the stencil itself. So I'm going to try to show that to you in just a few minutes. So this came as a full page, but what I probably will do is actually cut and weave in between each section so that I can take half this section and place it on my upper and lower receiver, and then I'll take the other half of the section, actually kind of wrap it around the stock itself, and then fill that in. So it's a good way to save as much stencil as possible. Also, I do save anything that I don't use on the particular gun. At the moment, I will save those pieces because later on I might find that, hey, this is kind of empty, so I'll grab a stencil that's left over and add it to the gun, and then spray paint or paint, duracoat, whatever you want to call it. Anyway, so I will show you. I'm going to cut this off, and then I'll show you how I weed it off so that it's not so messy when you go lay it on your work. Alright, so this is the way I work it. I did cut that stencil in half, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with a corner. And I'm going to make sure that and hopefully you guys can see this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go all the way across the stencil. Okay. And I'm going to pull that first section off. Okay. I'm going to gently pull it down until I get to a point where I can put my hand underneath the stencil like this and essentially grab with my thumb as I'm pulling down. Okay, and I'll continually keep my hand under it. Anything that gets stuck, I can peel away with my thumb. That way I'm eliminating as much of my hand on the stencil as possible, and it's folding over onto my hand. Okay, and I might stop and reposition. Essentially, this is the weed basically, and I might turn a little bit so I can pull that off from there. I'm actually going to do the same thing on this side. And I might actually take my hand out so that I can get those finicky corners, but once again I'm going to return underneath the stencil. And what I'm going to do is overlay this on my stock. Okay, so sticky end is right here, non-sticky there. And then what I'm going to do is I am going to take it off from my thumb and turn it around. And now I have the sticky side down and I can lay it down on my project piece. I don't have a hand available, but trust me, this is going on the back of the stock. I may actually cut some of this off and save it for the back end of the stock so that I have a little bit more stencil. But basically, that's essentially what I'm starting with. And I lay it down gently. So that's what I'm going to do right now. And I'm just going to let it drape over so that my fingers are out of the way. And I'll show you what that looks like. Alright, so this is what it's looking like. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start working this flat. I'm going to start up here with its, you got a little bit of a lip. I'm going to work that flat, and I'll actually probably cut it right down here and then overlay that piece over here so I can continue to use my stencil. Alright, got the stencils on. Now it's time for the classic bronze overspray. Anything that's black right now is what's going to be sprayed over. So here we go. Alright, so this is what it's looking like so far. I'm just applying a little heat so I can get it to cure and flash quickly. Doing all sides. And it should be good to go. And then I'll dust it, dust it with some black and some bronze once I have all of the stencils off. Okay guys, so by now you should have a good idea about how to set up a paint booth and how to use the stencils, how best to pull them off from the backing and stuff like that. So hopefully that part of the video was beneficial for you guys and taught you a few things. So this is the finished product. This is the 22 Nosler, and I'm just going to show you a little bit how that Kryptek stenciling came out. The paint, you can see the the Mandolorian symbol right there, kind of subtle on there, and then the rest of, and I also painted on the back of the stock as well. And so it came out really nice. I really dig the colors. I really dig how the Mandalorian symbol came out. If you recall, this was the red and blue anodized charging handle, and that was changed to the ancient, or the classic, excuse me, classic bronze. And so you can see that it came out really good. Top side for you. Not going to be too much of a change on the top of the rail, but get the idea of what the stock looks like. And then I'll flip around so you can see the other side. And again, that Kryptek, I love this pattern. This is my favorite camo pattern, and so this should make a really nice you can see I have remnants of the white from the fire on there. Really nice coyote hunting gun. And so yeah, you guys don't be afraid to do a job like this, especially with Duracoat. It is pretty easy to work with. And so yeah, with the sun hitting it, that's what it looks like. Classic bronze. I'm actually thinking about doing, I'm going to put this down Thinking about doing my recently acquired Canik TP9 SFX Elite Subcompact, and so let me know down in the comments, just the top side, just doing the slide and maybe the magazine butt ends or whatever. Thinking about doing that, so let me know what your opinion is. Should I do it? Should I just go with straight classic bronze, or should I go with a Kryptek Mandolorian slide paint job? So here's the other gun. This thing, I love this. By the way, these aren't loaded. I put the magazines in. They are empty, just to get a better idea of what they look like with a magazine in them. So this is, oh, I love this thing. Here we go. This is my 3-gun. This is now my 3-gun Mandalorian. It's kind of fading in a little bit with the classic bronze in there. I kept the red inserts, covered all that stuff up. There's the buffer tube. We've got the forward assist is Strike Industries. Many of the parts on this gun are actually Strike Industries or Sequence Precision. Red charging handle. That is the you can see I did fade it in a little bit, kind of the ghost Mandalorian look to that. And then this is the hand guard. You see that? This is a 223 Wild barrel. If you recall, if you've seen the other videos, that's Strike Industries bottom rail. It's a 223 Wild barrel that is actually a heavy barrel. In combination with this charging handle, and this is the bolt carrier group. The charging handle and this bolt carrier group, the bolt carrier group and this particular barrel, this sucker is just a soft shooting gun. You can see the top side. It came out well. Got a little bit of a black fade in there. Certain sections. I'm going to turn it so you can see the other side. This is the other side. God, man, I just love that Kryptek look, especially with these two colors. It is just gorgeous. Bottom side. You can see the rest of that. It's kind of a cheaper sight. This is the one I put on my wife's 9mm, her AR9. I'm going to try it here in the next couple of weeks for 223, because I probably am going to use that for the 3-gun comp. Bottom side, you can see that, how it fades in real nice. I decided to keep most accessories black because it does match so well. So I think that's it. This is what it's looking like. So a few helpful hints when doing this. Okay, patience is a virtue, right? There are a couple of spots on this one specifically where there's a couple of peel marks. Can't really see them. I can, because I'm close up. But there are a couple of peel marks where actually the paint did not. Throughout these projects, you're going to find that you missed some of your templates. And sure enough, I just found another one. So anyway, I did not let the paint dry long enough between my base coat and putting down my stencils. Okay, helpful hint for you. First one is to make sure that you let the paint dry, that base coat dry, and I did flash it off with a heat gun, but let it dry for like 2 to 3 hours, okay, before you put your stencils on, because there are a couple of spots where actually my base coat started to peel up a little bit. Not noticeable, not too noticeable, but to me, I know it's there, and it's just a bother to me. So bad Chris. Let them dry 2 to 3 hours before you put on your stencils. So you want to make sure you do that. Make sure it's nice and dry before you do that. So the other thing is that preferentially, when I did my AR9, I had it stripped all the way down to no parts inside. I had the barrel. Did I have the barrel on? No, I didn't. It's okay to keep the barrel on, covered up. Make sure you do all that. Best results is to take out your trigger group, take out your pins. You can leave your takedown pins in; those are just fine. But I would take out the trigger group, because that does hold a little bit of oil. Unless you get that oil out of there, you're going to have some adhesion issues. I clean these up really well. I made sure that I probably sprayed them at least 3 or 4 times, but if you can, they say that it's best to like bathe these things in some kind of degreaser, cleaner, stuff like that, or at the very minimum making sure that you're dousing these suckers very well with your non-chlorinated brake cleaner or whatever degreaser that you could decide to go with. Make sure that you get all the oil out. So hint number 2, suggestion number 2, make sure you take your trigger pack out. Make sure the inside's clean, because that stuff does leach out into your metals and stuff like that. So that's helpful hint number 2. Number 3, just making sure that everything is abraded quite well, because if you don't abrade things well, it's not going to stick as well. So make sure you do that. Make sure you get in those cracks and crevices, either with steel wool, which works really well. I didn't use it this time. I didn't really have too much of the adhesion problems, except for, obviously putting my stencils on too early. But that steel wool actually works really well for getting in all those crevices, all those creases, and so that's helpful hint number 3. Number 4 for me that I'm going to do is, as you noticed in the video, I laid down several different types of base coats. So I had my black, I had my bronze, and I would alternate throughout the project. There is a risk involved in that, in the fact that if you're laying down for your second coat, you put your stencils on for your second coat when you spray on black, and you also have that bronze on there, you have a tendency to lose track what you sprayed. Okay, so let me see if I can clarify that. I start off with black, bronze, black, bronze, black, bronze. Well, if I go and do the next coat with my stencils on, and I'm doing bronze on my black, now I have 2 sections of bronze, and if you do not have a picture of what that rifle looked like prior to putting on your stencils, you might lose track of what should be bronze and what should be black. Okay, so you don't get as well a fade in as what you could. So next time that I do this, it's going to be more of black first. Black is a base coat. Let it dry for 3 hours. Put my stencils on, and then I'm going to do my bronze in the highlighted areas that I want to. And then I would go back, and if I need to fade anything after I pull the stencils, then I'd use that black to fade in or dust areas that I really want that to fade in better. This worked well, but I think that I liked the first way that I did it for my AR9 a lot better. It really clarifies the lines better, and I can dust those portions in that I need it to fade. And so just lessons learned there. I hope you enjoyed this video. Again, like, subscribe, comment if you have any comments. And let me know, again, should I do my subcompact in this Mandolorian Kryptek, same colors, everything, and I'm just thinking the slide and the magazine end plates. So let me know. Appreciate you guys watching my videos, and I don't know what my next project is. I might do a review on a new airbrush, especially if I'm going to do the painting of the Canic slide. I did get a new paintbrush or airbrush because the other airbrush, although it worked well for 3-4 projects, it cracked in the end. So this new one that I got is all metal construction, and it's actually a professional airbrush. It's all metal, and so I might use that on the next project to see how that goes. I might do some testing with that, so maybe I'll do a review on that airbrush. Anyway, if you guys have any ideas that you would like to see that I can actually carry through, they're welcome. Alright guys, have a great day.